Alright, the next section, 8.7, is graphing equations. These are graphing linear equations. So the first thing we're going to have to do if we're going to graph is learn how to plot points. Okay, so just here's a coordinate plane, also known as the Cartesian coordinate system. The x-axis is the horizontal axis. The y-axis is the vertical axis. Recall that the first point, the first coordinate is the x, the second one is the y. Alright, the x is the first point, so you're going to move right if it's positive, left if it's negative. Then from there, you're going to move in the y direction, which is up or down. Up if it's positive, down if it's negative. Okay, so let's plot this first point. You always start in the middle, that's called the origin, and then I'm going to move 1 unit to the right because the first value is the x and it's positive, and then I'm going to move 8 units up because the second value is the y and it's also positive. So 1 to the right and 8 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Will be about right there. And to label it, I'm going to put the letter A beside it to indicate that's point A. Okay, let's do the next point. Point B, the point 2, -4. Start at the origin. Since the first value is positive, I'm going to move 2 to the right. The second value is negative, I'm going to move 4 down. And this point is going to be point B. Point C, start at the origin. The first value is negative, so I'm going to move 3 units to the left. The second number is positive, so I'm going to move 2 units up. And this is point C. Point D, start at the origin. First number is negative, so I'm going to move 2 to the left. The next number is negative as well, so I'm going to move 3 down. And that's point D. Point F, start at the origin. I'm going to move 7 units to the right since it's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 0 units up or down, so I'm going to put my point right on that line, the x-axis. And there's point F. Finally, point G. Start at the origin. Since the first number is 0, I'm not going to move right or left at all. The second number is negative, so I'm going to move down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that point is on the y-axis, point G. Okay, so now you know how to plot points. You're going to need that once we actually graph a line. Okay, note the directions. Solve each equation for y. Remember, we've done that now, so we've got to get the y term by itself. Find 3 points. Remember, that's when we substituted in 0, 1, and 2 for x and found the corresponding y. So the only new thing here is then to actually graph the line. Well, to do that, you take your 3 points you just found, plot them, and draw a line through it. Okay, so let's solve this problem. The first thing I have to do is get the y by itself, so I need to get rid of the x. It's positive, so I'm going to subtract x from both sides. What's left is going to be 2y equals, not like terms over here, so just bring down the 10 minus x. The y is not by itself, so I need to divide each term by 2. Notice that that coefficient in front of the x is a -1, so when I divide by 2, it becomes -1/2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5 minus 1/2 x. Now your equation is solved for y. Okay, let's find those 3 points, plugging in 0, 1, and 2 for x. Okay, so when I plug in 0 for x, I get 5 minus 1/2 times 0. Multiplication first, I get 5 minus 0, which is 5. So the point 0, 5 is one of the points on the line. Plug in 1. Y equals 5 minus 1/2 times 1. Well, that's 5 minus 1/2. Remember, use the decimal value 4.5 so that you know where to put it on your graph. 4.5 is another point on the line. Plug in 2. 5 minus 1/2 times 2 gives you 5 minus 1, or 4. Now recall, these are not the only points on this line. There's an infinite number of points on every line, but I'm using 0, 1, and 2 in the x values just to simplify. Alright, so now we're going to plot them. Start at the origin, move 0 in the x direction, and 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a point right there. Next point, 1, 4.5. Move 1 to the right and 4.5 up. So to graph a half, just put it between the values. And then finally the point 2, 2 to the right, 4 up. Okay, you'll notice that you have 3 dots in a row. Connect the dots, and you should connect it entirely across the graph. Don't just make a little line. Try to make it straight and put arrows on the end. It helps if you have a straight edge to use, a ruler. Let's do one last example. Okay, we want to get rid of the x term, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Bring down the y term, that's negative 1y equals 4 minus 2x. Get rid of the negative 1 by dividing by negative 1. So y equals negative 4 plus 2x. Negative divided by the negative. Your equation is now solved for y. Let's plug in the points, the values for x to get our points 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so plug in 0. Y equals negative 4 plus 2 times 0 gives you negative 4 plus 0, which is negative 4. Plug in 1. Y equals negative 4 plus 2 times 1 gives you negative 4 plus 2, which is negative 2. Plug in 2. Y equals negative 4 plus 2 times 2. That gives you negative 4 plus 4, which is 0. Now plot your 3 points on the coordinate plane provided. So start at the origin, move 0 left or right, and down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next point. Start at the origin, move 1 to the right and 2 down. Last point. Start at the origin, move 2 to the right and 0 up or down. There's your 3 points. Notice they should be in a line. Connect those 3 points all the way across your coordinate plane and put arrows on the end. And that's how you graph a line.